Oh, hello there, everybody, and welcome into the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. I'm your host today, Mags. I'm here with the two best co-hosts that any guy could ask for. We make the best three of the Fantasy Wildcard team. We got Ali in the house. Ali, buds, good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you too, Mags. All good, mate. Buzzing for this rookie breakdown. We haven't dived into specific positions, so yeah, looking forward to tonight. I'm really good. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Got 2 weeks off work, so I'm chilling. I'm doing real good. We got James as well. James, you pumped to talk some quarterbacks and tight ends today?
Yeah, definitely. Really excited to learn from you guys with your your takes on these guys, because there's a couple of guys further down the ranks that maybe we don't agree on. Really interested to hear you guys' takes on them.
Yeah, it's gonna be real fun. We're gonna kick off like we always do, though, with a dynasty question. So first of all, before we dive in, if you're new here, we're still trying to pump up the numbers over on our YouTube channel. So if you're watching over on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, make sure you click on over, check out the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button as well. We're trying to pump up the numbers over there. It's real good stuff, and hopefully you enjoy the show, boys. We got a dynasty question to kick things off. I submitted this one because I'm sure a lot of you might know, I do a series over on the Dynasty Hot Seat called The Worst Team Ever Rebuilding, the worst Dynasty roster you've ever seen. And it really is. It really was terrible. It's getting there, though. It's getting better. So, boys, I'm about to start re-recording this after the NFL draft. What advice do you have for me or for anybody else out there who's got a real stinky team and it's time to rebuild? Ali, what do you do with a team like that?
I would go to your YouTube channel, Mags, and I would just check out episode 1 of The Worst Team Ever, just to see what state that team was in, the actual state. There was not really much to shout about. There was hardly any playable players. There was no rookie picks. You were scratching around for those. You've done a really sensational job, my friend, in turning that team around in a short space of time. So hats off to you. And yeah, that I'd start there. But sort of the main thing is the way that you talked everybody through that is, you have to look at what you have got. That's sort of number one. Look at what you have got. Look at what is out there in terms of the value. Is there anybody ascending? Is there anybody that is probably valued a little bit too high? Get rid of all running backs to start off with, because you don't need those. If you're a rebuilder, you don't want them getting you points on your team. You want to end up with sort of the 101 pick perhaps next year as well, if it's not a 1-year reload. So yeah, just sell off any assets you can. Take risks as well. Take risks on a guy that perhaps is injured. You think that he's a lot lower than he should be. Just take a few risks. Try and get as many picks as you can, but don't always feel like you have to pick players with those picks either. So if you've accumulated 5 second-round picks, spend 2 or 3 of those on proven players. Because the hit rate of second-round picks is pretty terrible in truth. So yeah, that'd be just a few tips to help get that rebuild on the road to success.
Shout out to Samaje Perine and Dalvin Cook, who are my 2 running backs for most of the season last year. So yeah, definitely got rid of those running backs for sure. James, anything to add to that? What else do you do for a terrible team that needs to rebuild?
Yeah, can't add too much. Ali definitely stole my answer, but I guess my point would be, you don't have to win every trade the day you make the trade, right? So just make sure you don't have to. Yeah, if you're selling away like a veteran player and you're going to get a younger player, or you're going to get a pick for it, it doesn't have to be in your favor, or it doesn't have to even be fair at that stage, because if it's going to help you tank better, get that first pick in the rookie draft, then you're going to be in a better position for it long term. So yeah, don't be obsessed over the value of all the trades, and just stick to that goal. Obviously, like Ali said, get rid of the running backs, take risks on players that might go up in value.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So if you're in a position, listen at home, where you need to rebuild, make sure you take those points on board and listen real close, because we're about to help you with some of these draft picks coming up as well. We're going to start with we're going to start with the quarterbacks here. We're going to go through them. We're going to look at the consensus rankings that we've made between the three of us, and we'll maybe bring up some players that don't quite fall into that consensus. But we're going to start, Ali, with you with a guy that was, I think, our consensus quarterback one. I think we all had him ranked as quarterback one. I mean, I kind of put a one next to him and went, sure, fine. I don't know if you boys are the same. Ali, talk us about Cam Ward.
Yeah, so Cam Ward from Miami, I would say that he's a good quarterback prospect. He's definitely not elite right now. That's no mean to say that he can't get there, but I am projecting him to go 101 in the NFL draft, but that's not to say that he's my 101 in rookie drafts, because he's not. There's a running back, which says it all really. And dynasty managers, we absolutely love quarterbacks and wide receivers. For there to be a running back, possibly two running backs that picks 101 and 102, says a lot about them two positions. But yeah, Cam Ward, I think he's obviously had a great season at Miami. Definitely not taken the classic path of the typical quarterback one of a draft class. He's had three different teams in his college football career before finding a home in Miami, and then really smashing it this year. Started off at Catholic private school. He then went to Washington State Cougars. Sort of grinded his way up to Miami, and he just a guy that wherever he's landed, whatever situation he's been in, he's earned that quarterback one spot. And he really, that sort of typifies his quarterback style, where he doesn't look phased at all. So in the pocket, he looks really, really poised. And I go back to talking about a guy that I know James likes talking about in Jaden Daniels this year. Came into the NFL as an experienced guy. Cam Ward is that as well, and just looked really poised. Didn't look too flustered, phased at all. Behind that O-line, even that he gets to the NFL and things speed up. I don't think it's going to be like that for Cam Ward. I think that there could be some struggles, because we all anticipate that he's going to land on the Titans with the number one pick. I don't think it's going to be a great offense, but I think that he's going to be able to cope and adapt to his situation fine. He's a guy that you'd look at the 2024 tape, and he was able to come back from multiple deficits in 2024. So his team Miami were down quite often, and he was able to bring them back and win games and never really look panicked. So that is all credit to him. He can make all the throws. He's athletic enough. He scrambles around. We all know the highlight plays that he has. He makes some ridiculous throws where he's rushing around in the pocket, scrambling a bit too much. That time to throw is far too much. When he's transitioning to the NFL, that's going to have to come down for him to be able to work. The good thing is for him, he has got a really quick release. So I think that that's absolutely fine as long as the right coach gets hold of him and sorts that footwork out. That clip, I think you brought it up, Mags, a few weeks ago, where he's just standing in the pocket. There's absolutely no pressure on him whatsoever. He's standing there actively getting bored, and then he just doesn't even set his feet and just tosses it away, and it's just comical. I think that sort of sums him up. He's a mobile enough quarterback, so he will add some fantasy rushing, the available yards on top of his passing. So I think that he's fine. I think he's a good prospect. When we think of last draft class, he would probably end up my quarterback 4 or 5. So, we were sport with a good quarterback class last year. It could be historically good. They've all had a good start, and there's 2 quarterbacks we still haven't seen yet. So, I think it's a great, he's a fine prospect. No, he's not great. But I think he's my quarterback, 18 in my latest Dynasty ranking. So, you're getting a fine, like a mid quarterback 2, if you do pick him up with those first few picks in rookie drafts.
James, for you, was he ranked your number 1 because everyone else is crap, or because you think he's good?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of we don't really have a choice, do we? I mean, there's not really going. It's surely not going to be anyone. I mean, there might be. I guess there are scenarios where someone flies up the board and we might take them before Cam Ward, but it's highly unlikely that even someone taken second overall, it's only going to be Sanders, isn't it? And that's not going to change things. Maybe with Milrow, or someone like that if they really fly up the board. But yeah, it's definitely like this is what everyone's doing. Unless you want to be really different, you're not going to rank anyone else QB1. Yeah, there is enough to like about his game. But yeah, that hero ball, holding onto the ball too long, just things that he won't get away with in the NFL. But obviously, we have to see if he tries to get away with it or not. Ali mentioned Jaden Daniels, who obviously sort of stepped up as he got into the NFL. So yeah, there's enough there to not feel too disgusting. Ranking him as QB1, but yeah, it's not what you would typically be looking for out of your first quarterback in every other year.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, boys. I guess the consensus with the whole QB class, it's just kind of like okay, all right, let's see. There's no one like super top end, super exciting, and that's the same with the next guy, our consensus quarterback too. Although, man, I was close to switching it out, but I think I still went with him at 2. Shedeur Sanders sits as our consensus quarterback 2. James, is he closer to Cam Ward or is he closer to Jackson Dart for you?
I'm maybe not the biggest Jackson Dart fan, so he's maybe slap bang in the middle. But again, it's the same thing. It's where him being quarterback 2 says more about the class than it does him. Obviously, I think we're fairly confident he's going to be a first round pick, and it's probably likely that he is drafted in the teens, maybe just before with the Saints. Was it pick 9? Yeah, you just in the Superflex league, you can't really ignore that too much. Yeah, we're not that excited about the rushing upside or him being a QB1 for us, but if you're looking sort of second half of the first round of a rookie draft, then it's fine to take a first round quarterback in the NFL draft there. We're definitely not. It's highly unlikely that we're going to take him in the first half of the first round, is it? In those first 6 picks, like there's just too many other players in other positions that you're going to prefer. Even if he's taken second, right? That's still not going to happen. But yeah, but I also think he needs to fall in the draft anyway to land in the best position, unless he does go to the Saints and sit for a year. You kind of want him to fall on a team that has a functional offense already, because he's one of those players that, yeah, he's not going to turn a franchise around. I mean, that's what he says he will do, but he's not going to turn an offense around, like Jaden Daniels did, like we're seeing maybe out of Drake May. He can maybe improve on little things, and I think he's good when he plays on time. I think he can move around a bit. He's sometimes a bit casual with his sort of pocket presence, and it's a bit like there are times where you think he's turned the ball over or he's taken a sack when he could have so easily avoided it. So yeah, if he falls into if he goes to the Saints and gets to sit for a year, or if he falls later on in the draft, maybe the Rams take him or someone else who's is going to have a year, maybe even the Steelers, then I think it's a fine pick as a QB2 later on in the first round of a rookie draft. But yeah, it's not much to get too excited about.
Ali, same question to you. Do you have him closer to your number 1 or your number 3?
I would say probably close in terms of fantasy, closer to 3. I think that Jackson Dart has got a lot more upside to his game than Shedeur Sanders, but I think Sanders has got a much higher floor than Jackson Dart. I think James has absolutely nailed the breakdown, and I think if everything was to hit for Shedeur Sanders, say he landed in a really good offense or an ascending offense behind a veteran where he could step in and be behind a good offensive line with decent weapons, I think his ceiling in Dynasty's quarterback 14, 12, like I think he's my quarterback like 24 that I've got in rank. So he's a low quarterback too. Really not inspiring to pick him. But if you're on a team that needs a quarterback and he's falling to spot 10, that seems logical to take him and shore up that position. Just not very inspiring. I think he's an okay prospect. But yeah, ceiling wise, it's not someone that I look to. I'll probably pass on him in most places to look for someone that's got higher upside.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think he's closer to the number 3 guy than the number 1 guy as well. And that number 3 guy, as kind of mentioned before, is Jackson Dart. I'll take the first comments on Jackson Dart here. I think he's got some really good upsides. I think he's got that kind of gunslinger mentality that I think is just nice to watch to start with. I think you turn on the tape, you're going to have a lot more fun watching Jackson Dart than you are watching Shedeur Sanders. That's for sure. Sanders kind of rhythmic, goes through the motions, whereas Jackson Dart is either bombing it long or he's pretty good intermediate or he's taken off as well. I've said a couple of times I can see a lot of Jalen Hurts in him. He's maybe not quite as quick off the mark as Jalen Hurts, but the running style, the way that he is tough, he drives through. I really like what I see sometimes out of him. Sometimes he's a bit erratic. Sometimes you're not quite sure what Jackson Dart you're going to get, but man, I quite like taking a gamble sometimes on the upside of that. If you see the real high end of Jackson Dart, I think that's higher than what you're going to get with the Shedeur Sanders. So you kind of have to hope that Jackson Dart lands somewhere where he's going to get good coaching. And we've seen it before with look at all the top guys in Dynasty. Who are they? These unpolished diamonds that a good coordinator's taken and polished. Let's not pretend Patrick Mahomes was the best prospect in the world when he came out. Lamar Jackson slid in the draft. Josh Allen. All these guys were unpolished prospects. Now, I'm not saying Jackson Dart can go on to do that, but we've seen it happen before where these guys who have these incredibly high ceilings but are erratic in college just need that right bit of coaching. And I think if Jackson Dart gets that, he could be a high-end Dynasty quarterback for the future. Or he could just crash out and be absolutely nothing. But I think that's kind of the risk that you have to take with guys like this. Ali, I was so close to putting him as my 2. And I think some people are already doing that. Do you think that's just prospect fatigue with Sanders or what's going on here that I'm thinking this at all?
Possibly a little bit of fatigue. I think Shedeur Sanders has been talked about for a long time, and he's just slipped, really far. You only go back 3 or 4 months, people were having him neck and neck with Cam Ward in that conversation, but he's just fallen, so far down where he is a lot of people's quarterback 3 now. Jackson Dart ahead of him, and Jackson Dart. I think that people need to realize that he's getting so much buzz to be a first-round pick. That doesn't always happen. The likes of Malik Willis that was touted to go in the top 5 or top 10 and certainly didn't go there. But I think it's very real that Jackson Dart could be a first-rounder. And if he is a first-round pick, I personally firstly hope that he's sitting for a season or most of a season to learn behind a veteran, to not have to step in straight away. I think that'll do him the world of good. We've seen that happen recently and work out really well. I think people are going to have to realize that he's going to be a first-round pick in super flex drafts, in your rookie drafts. You're going to have to take him at the back of round 1. And I think some people will be taking him ahead of Shedeur Sanders. If both of those go in round 1, there might not be too much distance between those two. I just think Jackson Dart has got all the tools to become a fantasy relevant quarterback. And if you put him in the right situation, his ceiling is much higher than Sanders, in my opinion.
James, you're saying you're not a huge fan of Jackson Dart in particular. What is it about him that you're like, meh, not sold on?
It's just, I don't know. He is like the typical like NFL quarterback in terms of his size and the way he looks, and when he throws the ball, it's just the decision making and some of the sort of just the mistakes you see I'm just not 100% sold on. And at the end of the day, it's the kind of that draft capital is going to be the real deciding factor in our rookie drafts for these guys. If they both go within 4 or 5 picks in the NFL draft, then I can easily see a world where Jackson Dart goes ahead in a rookie draft. And as Ali said, it is becoming the consensus that he is going to be a first round pick now. So that everyone sort of has to realize that in a rookie draft, we're talking about a first round player here. I'm just not. I guess I'm not fully sold on him, but as we kind of talked about earlier, you mentioned we need to take risks. If you're in a rebuilding team, you definitely take. Maybe you trade back or whatever, but you definitely take Dart over Sanders on a rebuilding team where you're not ready to win within the next couple of years, because the upside and the growth there. He could become a QB1, whereas, as Ali said, with Sanders, it's unlikely that he's ever going to be a QB1, even if everything goes right. So I can see it in those scenarios for sure. In in a rebuild, you need to take a swing, because in a couple of years, you've got to wait a couple of years to contend. I personally would probably take Sanders in most scenarios, but I can see that.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where Jackson Dart ends up in the draft, and that'll kind of, you're right, that'll shape where we take him in our rookie drafts. And we got a couple of more quarterbacks to chat about. I mean, this guy, he is our consensus quarterback 4. I think I'm going to end up with a hell of a lot of Jalen Milroe, Ali. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to swing the big bat and see what Jalen Milroe can do.
Yeah, absolutely. If this guy is where I managed to take him in our rookie mock at the back of the second round, I agree. I think that I'll be taking a lot of shares of this guy. He's the ultimate, pardon the pun, wild card for me. And I guess for most people, you're looking at a quarterback that was able to run on his pro day. So, not completely official. 4.37 40 time as a quarterback, just built like a linebacker.
That's what I run on my pro day as well, by the way. 4.3.
That's impressive, Max, but not surprising from you. Over 1,200 rushing yards the last couple of seasons as a 2-year starter. That is special when it comes to fantasy. He can be a cheat code if he is given a starting position in the NFL. Konami quarterbacks is exactly what I strive for. If they're a starting quarterback, that is even better. We've seen it with Justin Fields. He's the classic example of someone that has so much upside with his rushing and was able to do it for a couple of years as a starter, but then obviously got benched because his quarterback play wasn't good enough. And we even saw when he had his short stint at Pittsburgh last season that he was able to be really fantasy relevant. And he's got another opportunity now. So this is a guy that could stick around the league. And if you're taking him with sort of a mid-second round pick or later, I think that is really, really good value. It's just, it's just watching film on him is very, it's exciting. There's so many big wow plays. He's so fast. But then, he'll have a great, passing play where he zips it into a tight window to a receiver. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm. And then he follows it up with staying in the pocket, and he just looks absolutely clueless. As a passer from the pocket, he doesn't know what to do. His decision making is terrible. His accuracy, his touch is just bizarre. Like, he just doesn't seem to be able to do it. So I'm hoping that in the NFL, they can grab hold of him. They can fix his mechanics, sort of slow the game down for him, keep that rushing in there because we need that for his fantasy floor. But sort out, him as an actual NFL passer, because he can do it, because 2023 was actually really positive for Jalen Milroe. He had a really decent season as a passer, but then it just regressed massively in 2024. But the only thing is that really got me thinking today. Shout out to the weatherman Matt FF Dynasty. He put out a really good tweet today, which was comparing him to Anthony Richardson. And Anthony Richardson, as we know, was picked at the 4th pick in the NFL draft to the Indianapolis Colts. And he went and put stats side by side, and Jalen Milroe was hands down better than him in every single category. He's got more experience, more passing yards, more 250 passing games, more touchdowns, less interceptions. He played at a big school in Alabama. Why is there not more buzz for Jalen Milroe being a first-round pick. It's questionable to me. I understand because he's absolutely clueless in the pocket, but so was Anthony Richardson, and he was pick 4. So, there's that one to think about. But yeah, I think if he's anywhere from mid-second round pick for me, I'm going to take plenty of swings on him.
You're going to have Murph and the rest of the Florida Gators coming after you, Ali, for saying they're not a big school. Let me tell you, you better watch out in your Twitter mentions, because they're coming after you for saying Alabama's a big school and just ignoring the Gator Nation over there. So I gotta say that. Jalen Monroe for you, James. I mean, do you think if Anthony Richardson was a smash success that we'd be having more positive things to say about Monroe?
Yeah, probably. It's probably a little bit of learning from what happened a couple of years ago with Anthony Richardson, right? It was, like we've kind of said, I said that Richardson was so more, I don't know how to say it, he's so more, as a prospect, he's so raw, wasn't he? And obviously Milroe's had that extra experience. So really it should be different. But yeah, hopefully it's a little bit of sort of learning from previous mistakes. What I did want to say about Milroe, right? The rushing floor. So Ali mentioned 1,200 yards, and it was 700 in 2024. But in college, they deduct sack yards, don't they, from quarterbacks? Yeah. And obviously, they don't do that in the NFL. And he strikes me as the kind of guy that lost a lot of yards on sacks. So that's probably over 1,000 yards, isn't it? Which is kind of, an extra 300 yards is an extra 30 points in fantasy wise, anyway. That rushing floor is obscene if he's on the field. So just a question of when does he get drafted? Is it that second round? In which case, should be wheels up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be exciting from Milroe. I'm definitely going to take a couple of flyers on him for sure. I mean, do we have to talk about this next guy? Talk about Tyler Shaw. I honestly, just Tyler shot me in the face. I mean, this is the word. Just go on, talk about this guy. I really cannot be bothered. He's so Go on, James.
I want to know what you've got to say now. For me, it's just about the draft capital again. As far as the trend's been going, it seems like he's going to be an early second round pick. We might disagree with that. But of the players that we haven't gone through yet, he kind of seems to me to be the one that's sort of the buzz is him being drafted higher. And that might not happen. And if that doesn't happen, then he's certainly not going to be my QB5. But that's where he is right now, because I see him as probably going to be the 4th quarterback drafted. And I think it's just because the teams that are picking at the start of the second round that don't want to burn a pick on Sanders, they're going to take Abdul Carter, they're going to take Travis Hunter. They're going to want a quarterback that they can look at in the second round. And maybe they're not convinced by Milroe or some of these other guys that are coming on kind of lower down in my ranks. So I just think, he's probably, in my eyes at the moment, he's sort of early second round pick. And obviously, the age, he's going to be 26, I think, in September, which is an issue. But I think of any position, which one is it less of an issue in? It is quarterback, right? I think, on the tape, I think he moves okay, and he can make some NFL throws. He's not particularly exciting, and it's sort of a basic offense, makes basic reads, and he'll need to land, somewhere that is going to work with him. I've written down that I see him as like his ceiling for his career being like a Nick Foles type career, where he starts a few games and then he doesn't, and then he's a backup, and then people are calling for him to start, and then he actually does start, and you realise that he wasn't that good. That Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky, Nick Foles season where everyone was calling for the other one. And obviously if that is the kind of season he has, and he's 26 by the time he's a rookie, he's not going to be a long-term sort of fantasy asset. But I'm just looking at it purely from if he's drafted high in the second round, I'm going to take him ahead of those other quarterbacks, not ahead of Milroe, who I think will probably be drafted after him. But that's all it is for me, really.
Ali, what do you got to say about Tyler Shaw?
The less said, the better, to be honest. Yeah, there's obviously this is a fun prospect. I feel like I turn on Twitter or X, whatever it's called nowadays, and every other day I seem to have a highlight reel play where he's just absolutely super talented arm. Highlight reel plays, and he makes it look effortless. You kind of think, what's happened to this guy? Why is he not? Why has he been in the NFL, in the college for 7 years?
I can tell you.
Yeah, he's unfortunately suffered some horrendous injuries, and I think 3 of the seasons were taken away from that. So I think that the fact he's got a lot of experience actually plays into his hands now. I think we've seen that that's not always the best thing when they come out too early. I just think that this guy is going to be a backup in the NFL. So I think his starting opportunities are going to be limited. But this is a guy that's got the arm talent. If he can keep healthy, why not? I just wonder what the cost is going to be if James is saying that he could go earlier than expected. I wonder what that does for us in rookie drafts, because we like the young shiny new things. Well, this is anything but young shiny new thing. This is the opposite. So I think it could be a value in a taxi squad, because I think there could be an opportunity if you're in the right place, where if there's an injury, perhaps he comes in and starts a few games, his value takes a spike. But just not blown over or too excited for him.
Every time I actually quite enjoyed watching Louisville play last year, but that's only because their running back Isaac Brown is an absolute freak. If you've not seen him, please go watch some film on Isaac Brown. He is so much fun. And then every time Tyler Shaw got the ball, like, just give it to him. It's just like he's not terrible. I just feel like we're just chatting about a career backup here, and what's the point for Dynasty? Like, you just don't. He's pretty much off my. I will draft no Tyler Shaw. I will just take a chance on a running back instead, because I just don't see how this guy gets to any fantasy relevancy at all. Not a bad player. Will be a fine backup. See notes on Hendon Hooker. Right, that's kind of what I think about Tyler Shaw. So let's move on from this absolute jamoke, shall we? Let's move on to my guy that actually has a chance of becoming. I mean, dare I say, this year's Brock Purdy. Give me some Kyle McCord, guys. Who I never thought I would say this after he left Ohio State with his tail between his legs and ran off to Syracuse, but led all of college football last year in passing yards with 4,700 plus. He had almost 600 attempts, only 12 interceptions, 34 touchdowns on that. Man, Kyle McCord really, really impressed me. He's someone that can come in, throws the ball with incredible zip, really fast release, reads defenses really, really well. I think he could come in. And unlike Shaw, I think he's just got that little extra something there where he could, he's starting to come on a hot streak. He could be a guy that will be drafted as a backup, but could end up seeing some work on the field if that starter doesn't quite, seal the deal. So I'm hopeful that Kyle McCord will at least get a chance in the NFL to show what he's got. And if he plays anywhere near like he was for Syracuse last year, he's going to be hard to get off the field, because I was super impressed going into, watching tape that I was expecting almost nothing from Kyle McCord. Pop quiz. Anyone tell me a Syracuse wide receiver? I watched them all year. I couldn't tell you. So for him to lead college football with not a whole lot, super impressed with Kyle McCord. Can't wait to see what he does. Not really worried about where he goes to. He's going to be a backup to start with. No one's taking him as their guy, but I think he's got enough juice to just nick a chance in there somewhere. Ali, you obviously seen Kyle McCord at Ohio State. Not great. Did you catch much of it at Syracuse?
I did. Yeah, I was actually, as you were, impressed with what he managed to do. At Syracuse, we're all over the place on Kyle McCord. So you've got him up at quarterback 6, on quarterback 8. James is down at quarterback 10. So we're consensus he is our quarterback 8. I think he deserves huge credit and praise for the way he, reestablished himself as someone in this conversation to be a top 5, quarterback in this class, because I think that he's getting a little bit of buzz that I've seen lately. I think that from a clean pocket, he's great. I think absolutely love his poise as well. Someone that, again, it doesn't really phase him what situation that he gets in. Even when he's under pressure and duress, he seems to be the opposite of maybe Shedeur Sanders and a little crumple under pressure. He actually likes pressure in his face. And I do really like that about him. Over nearly 600 pass attempts in 2024 showed exactly what he can do. I agree. I do think that he will predominantly be a backup. These are quarterbacks that may even go undrafted in rookie drafts. If you've only got, say, 4 rounds, there will be a couple of these quarterbacks going in the 4th round, but not all of them. And I do think that there is some value in Kyle McCord if you were able to stash him around your taxi squad, because it wouldn't be surprised, if there's a situation arise where he was able to start and he showed something in his career.
James, you've got Kyle McCord down at quarterback 10. You want to tell him and his family why you hate him so much?
He's only 3 years younger than Tyler Shug, so that's his main downside. Yeah, I don't have too much to add other than what you guys have said. Yeah, obviously you drafted him as a backup, and maybe he can develop and you can see him start a few games, and then you might be confident taking him out of the taxi squad. At this stage, it's whoever you kind of, whoever you watch last, isn't it? It's not, we're talking about these quarterbacks that are going to be drafted so late that really they're all sort of shots in the dark for us in rookie drafts, 3rd round or whatever, maybe even undrafted, some of them. So just take your shot on whatever one you kind of prefer and hope that, there's that path for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got to be. It's these quarterbacks. It's draft capital is so important for them. So we'll see where they end up and where they go. Let's whiz through these tight ends quick enough here, because I think we've talked about tight ends quite a lot. So Ali, we'll put you to you first. He's a consensus tight end 1 for us, and I'm sure many other people. He's not actually my tight end 1, but he is your and James's tight end 1. Tyler Warren. What do you got to say about Tyler Warren, Ali?
Well, where do I start about Tyler Warren? Just he is a 101 of this draft class, not 1 point whatever. What I was going to say is he's unique. This is a guy that is a tight end, but he can also play. He's out there looking at a wide receiver sometimes. He has snaps at running back. He's even has snaps at the Wildcat quarterback, which is where he began his career. In high school, he was a lefty quarterback. And fun fact, he wasn't even recruited to Penn State because of his, football background. It was actually to play basketball, but he ended up playing football at Penn State. And I think that's one reason why you look at why has it taken, almost 5 years to break out and become the fantasy stud the stud that he was. I think it was just because of learning the position. He was behind a couple of tight ends. You could, Brenton Strange, Theo Johnson, they're not amazing tight end prospects, but Brenton Strange was a 2nd rounder. Theo Johnson was a 3rd or 4th rounder as well. So he was sitting behind learning, behind those 2 guys. And I just think that what he was able to put on, on the field for Penn State in 2024 was just remarkable, considering their passing game was pretty crap. Let's face it. They had a couple of 1,000-yard rushers. They're mainly a run-first offense. When you look at his stats, 104 receptions for a tight end is ridiculous. 58 receptions more than the best wide receiver on the team. It's crazy. 8 touchdowns. 50% of Tyler Warren, his targets went for either a 1st down or a touchdown. So 50% went for either a 1st down or a touchdown, which is incredible. This guy that lines up in the slot almost 50% of the time. He lines up in line 30%. He also lines up out wide and in the backfield as well. So he can absolutely do it all. If you want to see exactly what he can do, check out the USC game where he had 17 receptions for 224 yards. He even ran the ball on a sneak play for about 5 yards, and he threw a pass as well. So he just showed off everything that you need to see. The only question for me is he is my tight end 1, but I have been moving him down recently because I think that people are going to overdraft this guy. It looks like he's going to be a top 10, top 15 pick in the NFL draft. I really don't want to see him land on the Colts because that would scare the crap out of me. He might not even be my tight end one after that. I just think that if he's going to be a mid-first round pick, then I'm probably not going to end up with a lot of shares of Tyler Warren. I think that he's going to have to fall towards the back of round 1 for me to take those shares.
Yeah, Tyler Warren, not my tight end one. James, you're going to chat a little bit about Colson Loveland, who is my tight end one. How close is he for you to be in that one overall with Tyler Warren, or you think there's a clear gap?
It is close. I think we keep saying this, but the deciding factor was the expected draft capital. Really, like it could easily change if they're drafted really close, and we see a better situation for Loveland. Yeah, it could easily switch around, and I think we might, like kind of Ali said, it might just end up being which one is there when you're able to draft them in the rookie drafts. Because if Warren's taken 10 picks higher, say in the top 10, and Loveland's around the 20 mark, you're not going to be able to take Warren early, sort of later on in your rookie drafts, but maybe you end up being quite happy about that because I can see why Loveland is your tight end one. I think the route running and sort of the athleticism, things like that. He has the sort of the size and the skill set to be a mismatch, which is what you want from your tight ends, right? You want them to be a mismatch for the linebackers and cornerbacks in different ways. I think the only reason for me he isn't is his weakness is his strength, which sounds weird to say. Some concerns over, is he going to be strong enough? Obviously that, the strength thing, there could be issues with pass protection and in as a run blocker. But for me, it was a couple of reps where I saw him sort of get pushed back at the line of scrimmage, and it just threw off his route completely. Obviously that's not going to happen every game or, every time he sort of gets in that situation, but just, little red flag, kind of mark him down a little bit for that. But I can see it with, sort of, I can see the appeal with the athleticism and, the catch radius and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, it's just the pedigree as well of Loveland as well. Just kind of sets him apart for now. Like this time last year, he was consensus number 1, and it was going to take a hell of a lot to knock him off that spot for me. And even though Warren did such a good job this year, it just wasn't quite enough for me to knock Loveland off the top. And my third guy right after, I think you boys have him at 4, Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, he led not just tight ends in yards, he led college football in yards receiving. That includes all the wide receivers, all your favorite players. Yes, Ted McMillan. Yes, all those guys. He was ahead of them all. I mean, I'm just like, if you can do that, you're a special player. If you can lead college football and catch, that's a real special feat. I don't know when the last time that was done. I'd have to look it up, but I don't know if he's the first ever, but it's got to be pretty close to doing that. So Harold Fannin, I think just for that alone, you have to look at it and go, that's pretty interesting. I know he played for your favorite team, Ali, of course, Bowling Green, knowing your bowling prowess.
Indeed.
I just think that he's a real interesting prospect. People are freaking out about the combine. If he ran 700ths of a second faster, he would have been the fastest tight end at the combine. Give me a goddamn break. The time was fine. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but man, I just find Harold Fannin Jr. so intriguing. He's slipping down drafts. I'm going to be picking him up, scooping him up, while Tyler Warren's going way up the top of the first round. Harold Fannon's now slipping to the end of the second round. I think that's definitely worth a punt on a tight end with a high ceiling for sure. And we do have a couple of more tight ends to chat about as well. Ali, you've got Elijah Arroyo you want to chat about a little bit. He's your tight end 3 ahead of Harold Fannin. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, I've got these two in the same bucket. I think similarly because I think they've both got a low floor, but I think they've got a really high ceiling. If they were able to hit their peak with our, an offensive guru in the right scheme that features the tight end, I think that Arroyo and Fannin can really hit and be, top 6, top 7 dynasty tight ends. And I think that the tight end landscape is crying out for a couple, 2 or 3 tight ends to really refresh that top 5, top 6, because after the top 2, it's just a crapshoot, really. This guy is an absolute home run hitter at the tight end position. Is really rare. He's a guy that's actually got breakaway speed, so once he gets past the safeties, the corners, he's actually physically running away from them, and he was able to do it quite regularly this year. 7 touchdowns on just 35 receptions, so he is that home run hitter. The only thing is, the first 3 seasons of his career he had 11 total receptions, so that's it's not great. 2 really bad knee injuries, ACLs, but was able to stay healthy in 2024 and just display that downfield playmaking ability. So almost half of his receiving yards were 20 or more yards down the field, which is really good. So that does excite me. I wonder whether his sort of skill set, his weaknesses will take him off some NFL teams' boards, because he's not that classic tight end that will do everything. But this is an absolute weapon. So get him in the slot. You don't want this guy blocking too much. You want him running vertically down the seam and getting open and moving the chains. So, yeah, if this guy's available in, the 3rd round onwards, if he gets, sort of day 2 draft capital, I'm definitely all in, and that will secure him as my tight end 3.
Yeah, love it. He's a really good athlete, and excited to see where Arroyo goes. And hey, James, you've got another Mason Taylor minute. You want to take it away?
Yeah, Taylor's my tight end 3, but mainly just because I knew it would annoy you, Max.
I think he's my he's way down for me, right? He's my 7, actually. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, obviously, is he 5 for you, Ali, in the middle? Yeah. I think he's the polar opposite to Arroyo, right? He's a prototypical tight end that you could see him being on the field every play. I think he's got the physicality that's going to happen for him pretty quickly, and it's not going to be too much of a learning curve. He's not a massively productive player. He's not a home run hitter. I think I looked it up, and he's just so consistent. He gets sort of 3 to 5 catches, 40 to 50 yards every game, and maybe every few games he'll score a touchdown. And it just depends how you're looking at the tight end position, because if you're telling me, maybe if we consider this a tight end premium league, he's going to get 3 catches, 40 yards. That's 10 points. And then every 3 or 4 games he scores a touchdown. You're more than happy with that. Tight ends, we've probably got 4, 5, 6 tight ends that we're happy starting at the moment every week, and then the rest of them is touchdown dependent. So obviously this, just because that's what he did in college, doesn't mean that's what's going to happen in the NFL. But I could see him as the kind of guy that he's got the physical sort of skill set that there's room for him to grow as well, and it's not necessarily that's going to be his ceiling. But it's where I got a shout out to Lewis with the FF Pancake. In his rookie guide, he put down that he kind of sees a comparison that he sees is early Zach Ertz, and that's exactly what I wrote down as well. Just nothing explosive, and you're not really going to be wowed by it, but just so consistent. And even Zach Ertz is still going now. How long's he been going in his NFL career? Sort of 10, 12 years or something like that, and he's still catching probably nearly double-figure touchdowns this season for the Commanders. So if you're drafting Mason Taylor in sort of 2nd, 3rd round of a rookie draft, and you get that sort of career out of him, obviously you're happy. But there's no guarantees. But I think that's kind of in his range.
Yeah, I absolutely expect Mason Taylor to be consistently on the waiver wire, so that'll be really, really good to see. No, he's all right. He's all right. But my guy Terrence Ferguson, look, not much to say. I just think Terrence Ferguson is literally a better Mason Taylor. Everything you said, James, copy paste, put it. Terrence Ferguson could have a shot, physical, can catch, all these things. The only thing he doesn't have is that, obviously NFL pedigree in the family, but I think Ferguson and Taylor, you line them up side by side, they're basically, the same weight, size, like everything's the same. I'd have seen a little bit more out of Terrence Ferguson this year than I did out of Mason Taylor. It wouldn't shock me if Taylor had a better career. It wouldn't shock me if Ferguson, but we've just seen it before with these tight ends. They're just going to need a chance. there are plenty of guys in the league that are quite honestly not great, but because they have a chance, hey, look at them go. I mean, just have a look at Miami Dolphins right now and what's going on there with Jonnu Smith, right? I mean, a guy that we've known for years isn't great, but look at him go now. He's got a chance. So one of these guys gets a chance. I expect him to be fantasy relevant. So I don't have too much to say about Terrence Ferguson, other than he's definitely better than Mason Taylor. All right, let's go into our 2-minute warning, boys. Shall we? I've absolutely loved these questions from the audience. Remember, you can look out for it over on X if you want to submit a question for the show. We're looking at some trades. This is the first one, comes from a 12-team Dynasty Superflex, no tight end premium, start 8 players. Ooh, are you going to go for Jordan Addison and a 2027 first, which we know we love, or Xavier Legette and the 103? Ali, let's pitch it to you first. What are you thinking there?
I cannot stop looking at the 27 first and just picturing what it could end up being. And on top of that, I'm getting Jordan Addison, who's an absolutely fine wide receiver 2. If anything happens to Justin Jefferson, he's a top 10 wide receiver. In his own right, he could be, a decent wide receiver, mid wide receiver 2. I'm excited to see what the Vikings do this year. Give me that side, because Xavier Legette, other than being a really cool dude, has done nothing. And the 103, it's not the best draft class. So just skip it on to 2027, where it's going to be a fantastic draft class.
James?
Yeah, agreed. Don't really have too much to add. If a team is acquiring Xavier Legette, chances are it's not that great. That 27 first could end up being better than the 103. And obviously then you get Jordan Addison as well. So yeah, definitely.
Exactly my thoughts. We're 3 for 3 on that one for sure. Next on to 10-team Dynasty League in Superflex. We got AJ Brown, ladies and gentlemen. Not what our show sheet said originally of AJ Green. That's a very different debate completely. Maybe AJ Yellow and AJ Purple are going to join in as well a little bit later. But we got AJ Brown in the 110, or just straight up the 1-1 Ashton Genty, you would presume. James, we'll pitch it to you first. What are you thinking?
Yeah, for me, it's quite easily the AJ Brown side. I guess in a 10 team, you're getting the 101, and maybe you can view it as Janty being much closer to the running back one than AJ Brown is the wide receiver one. And if in a 10 team, you want the real elite players, but I'd take probably Brown on his own. I think. Maybe not on his own, but it'd be close. So yeah, if you get the 110 as well, I'm definitely taking that side.
Ali?
Yeah, I think value-wise, I think is fine. If you're going to have to get the one, if you really want the 101, you're going to have to pay this price. So I think that's fair. But yeah, give me AJ Brown. I think he's always undervalued, and he's still only 27, going on 28 years old. He's not actually that old yet. And give me the 110 on top, where I think I can either turn that into a veteran, see our last show, or maybe get a faller from someone that I think, like a Quinshon Judkins. If you had him and AJ Brown, give me that side all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a contender, the move here, you mentioned, Ali, you take AJ Brown in the 110, you flip the 110 for Derrick Henry plus, and then you have AJ Brown, you have Derrick Henry, you win the championship, and you go home smiling. It's easy. It's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. Dynasty is easy peasy. So let's move on. We got another treat here from a 12-team Superflex PPR non-tight end premium. Oh my goodness me, look at all these picks. We got 102, 105, 204, 207, or you get Puka and the 201. Ali, what do you think about that? That's a lot of picks. It's one of those ones when you see it, you go, oh, wow.
Yeah, it is a lot of picks. We can start to visualize maybe who them picks might turn into. So you could get yourself a really, one of these top 3 running backs and, a top 2 wide receiver in there, or possibly a quarterback. So the long way of saying it is still give me the Puka side, because I think that ultimately he's worth 3 first-round picks. So, 2 early first-round picks and you're paying a second as well is a little bit short of where I'd want to be. So give me Puka and the 201, and again I can turn it into a veteran, or take some value for someone that's going to fall.
Yeah, James.
Yeah, we're agreed again. I think if you took the 201 off of the Puka side, maybe it becomes more of a question, because I think the value is fine. I just would want more to sell Puka if I had him. So yeah, I'll take the Puka side.
Yeah, I think I said this here last week. You're going to need to put a name on that side for me to be interested. If you want me to go from Puka to somebody else, you're going to have to get me to tier down veteran wise, and then put some picks on top as an extra bonus for me. So yeah, I'll take the name there for sure. I'll take Puka, and we got one more head. This is a hell of a lot of fun. This is 12 team PPR tight end premium. Malik Neighbors, or my boy, the much maligned. He's coming back. Don't you worry about him. Michael Pittman Jr. Or you get JJ McCarthy, or your guy, Ali, Lad McConkey. Ali, I'll give you time to process this and have a think about it. James, we'll go to you first. Who you taking?
Yeah, it's a close one, this. I'm kind of like you. I'm a Pittman fan and a bit disappointed with his sort of value fall over the last year or two or whatever. Yeah. I see obviously Neighbors is the bigger name here. So I know it's super flexing, you're getting a quarterback on the other side, but we haven't seen too much out of JJ McCarthy, so who knows? So I would take the Neighbors side just because I'm a little bit of a Pittman fan, but it's no slight on McConkey. Fan of him as well.
Ali, you wouldn't do that McConkey dirty, would you?
Yeah, I'm going to have to, I'm afraid. There's one elite asset in this trade, and that obviously is Malik Neighbors. So give me that side. And yeah, agreed. I like Michael Pittman as well. I think that him being valued in down in the wide receiver 30s could be the 40s now. When the wide receivers land. Give me that side. I can totally see the side of McCarthy and Lad McConkey. If Lad McConkey repeats what he done this year, and JJ McCarthy steps in and he's slinging touchdowns to Justin Jefferson, etc. There's value that side, but give me Malik as the elite asset.
Yeah, I would love to be able to go out and disagree, boys, to make some fun entertainment, but I can't go against Malik Neighbors, who's just an absolute phenom. Can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do with hopefully improved Giants. We'll have to wait and see for that. So yeah, I'll take the Malik Neighbors and Michael Pittman Jr. side as well. And boys and girls, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you're subscribed and you're following and you're doing all that good stuff wherever the hell you're watching. Boys, this is a good show, right? Ali, you had fun?
Yeah, it's been great. Continuing our rookie season. We're only 3 weeks away from the NFL draft now. So we've got the wide receivers and the running backs coming up. Obviously, this is a fantastic running back class. So be sure to check that episode out.
Yep. James?
Yeah, great show. Obviously, it's nice. We're looking forward to the draft, but it's nice to have some players to look out for now. So I've already got the Jalen Noel and Higgins thing with Ali. So now we've got the Mason Taylor, Terrence Ferguson debate to watch out for as well. So yeah, not been on the show too long, but it's nice to see some little rivalries popping up and players to watch out for on draft night.
Yeah, exactly. Things are certainly building. Absolutely. Let this be the last time we speak about Tyler Shaw. And remember, when you have the wild card, you have the power to change the game. We're out, guys. See you later.